Okay. All right. Look, we're live. You have to be good now. It's like, okay, so we're in Song of Solomon, and tonight we're doing chapters 5 and 6. And it really, truly is just too much to intro from the beginning to now. I highly recommend everyone go back and just watch the previous videos. We do have a YouTube channel if you need, I know they delete after a while on Facebook Lives. So they are on YouTube, so you can go look at those. Maybe I should link that, and I always forget to link the YouTube. If I were better at this, I could do it at the same time. I'm not better at it. Okay, but for Song of Solomon, what we're doing in this study is we're looking at God's relationship with his people as the bride, just about on a timeline from Genesis to Revelation, because that's what I believe that the Lord has been showing me in this book, is his love affair truly with his people. And that means the Old Testament saints and the New Testament saints now as one. And we talked about the twins, all the imagery of the twins being the camps of Israel and the church as one. The Gentiles being grafted into the tree, the imagery that happens in the New Testament. So in order to do the beginning of chapter 5, I backed up a verse at the end of chapter 4 because it really ties in. So in chapter 4, the bride, who's the Shulamite, is described as a garden enclosed. A garden enclosed. And then at the end, chapter 4, verse 16, it says this. Awake, this is the Shulamite talking, the bride. Awake, O north wind, and come, O south. Blow upon my garden, that its spices may flow out. Let my beloved come to his garden and eat its pleasant fruits. So that is a reference to the Pentecost.
I'll put a link to the YouTube channel in your comments.
Thank you.
So tell people.
Okay, there's a link to the YouTube in the comments. Thank you, Dylan. Things I cannot do. Well, I could if I wanted to learn. I haven't wanted to learn. But so that's a reference in from what I feel like the Lord has shown me to Pentecost. The wind comes in at Pentecost and blows on the garden and goes out. So she transforms from a garden enclosed to now the wind blowing out to all the nations. So chapter 5, verse 1, this is the beloved who is the groom. I have come to my garden, my sister, my spouse. Remember that now he's referring to her as a sister and a spouse. A sister because she has now been made like him. That could only happen after the work of the cross. And spouse only again could happen after the work of the cross. I've gathered my myrrh with my spice. I've eaten my honeycomb with my honey. I've drunk my wine with my milk. Then to his friends, eat, O friends. Yes, drink deeply, O beloved ones. So we see in Acts chapter 2, when the day of Pentecost had fully come, they were all with one accord in one place, and suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled the whole house where they were sitting. Then there appeared to them divided tongues as of fire, and one sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. And there were dwelling in Jerusalem Jews, devout men, from every nation under heaven. And when this sound occurred, the multitude came together, and they were confused, because everyone heard them speak in his own language. Then they were all amazed and marveled, saying to one another, Look, are not all these who speak Galileans? How is it that we hear each in our own language in which we were born? Parthians and Medes and Elamites, those dwelling in Mesopotamia, Judea and Cappadocia, Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt, and the parts of Libya adjoining Cyrene, visitors from Rome, both Jews and proselytes, Cretans and Arabs. We hear them speaking in our own tongues with the wonderful works of God. And so they were all amazed and perplexed, saying to one another, whatever could this mean? And others, mocking, said, they are full of new wine. And the irony there is that they were full of new wine, the wine of the new covenant. They meant it as mockery, but then the wind goes out and suddenly it goes on all nations. Now, after this is the second dream, or the second night. I'll say it that way. And this one is the Shulamite's troubled evening. Matthew 9:15 says, but the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them. Then they will fast. So the bridegroom is taken away. So think of this as in the time period of right at the beginning of the first church, when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and the beckoning to Jerusalem to receive the bridegroom. Mm-hmm. The beckoning is to his own people to receive the bridegroom. So the Shulamite, if you follow what I'm saying, is that this is a collective bride. And the Lord is he's beckoning Jerusalem to open the door. I sleep, but my heart is awake. I'm going to go back to that. I sleep, but my heart is awake. It is the voice of my beloved. He knocks, saying, open for me, my sister, my love, my dove, my perfect one. For my head is covered with dew, and my locks with the drops of the night. She says, I've taken off my robe. How can I put it on again? I've washed my feet. How can I defile them? So Jerusalem's response to the Lord at first is resistance, because she's clean. I've taken off my robe. How can I get out of bed and soil my feet with this? So this is Jerusalem's initial response. My beloved put his hand by the latch of the door. And that word latch actually is translated as opening. My beloved put his hand by the opening of the door. Now, before you go on, think about this for a moment. I've got this here. So there's a troubled night where he is the work of the cross, right? And he spends 3 nights in the belly of the earth. The beckoning is for Jerusalem to receive him. And he claims himself to be the door. There's so much imagery all throughout the scripture that he is the door. Mm-hmm. So he puts his hand to the opening of the door. What is the opening of the door? It's the work of the cross.
And he says, like, he knocks. In Revelations, it says, I stand at the door and knock.
Yes.
All who open the door, I'll come in and eat with them.
Yes.
So it's, he's...
It carries through.
Too.
Yes, so the opening of the door, I think about him putting his hand to the opening of the door, and it looks to me like he's put his hand to the work of the cross.
Right.
And my heart yearned for him. So I put this up here, so just take this in for a moment. The work of the cross. My heart yearned for him. John 10:7 says, Then Jesus said to them again, Most assuredly I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. So she says, this is the bride, the Shulamite. I arose to open for my beloved, and my hands dripped with myrrh. What is myrrh? Death. It's symbolic of death. But she touches the door. Her hands dripped with myrrh from his hand. He's the one that put the myrrh on the opening. My fingers with liquid myrrh on the handles of the lock. So this is the comment. Myrrh, which is associated with death, and particularly the prophesied death of Christ, drops from the hands of Jesus to the door, then to the hands of the bride. Then she finally gets up and says, I opened for my beloved, but my beloved had turned away and was gone. My heart, which is actually the word for soul, leapt up when he spoke. My heart leapt up when he spoke. When is another thing? What else happened? My heart leapt up when he spoke.
John the Baptist.
John the Baptist. When Mary spoke,
John leapt
in the womb.
Oh.
Okay, John leapt. My soul leapt at the voice of my beloved. This is Jerusalem, his own people. Here is a reminder of the saints. This is also both. The saints who leapt from the graves at the crucifixion. So remember, at the crucifixion, they leapt out of their graves. Now, we talked last week, and I'll give you a little quick recap about how the gospel is for the Jew first, then for the Gentile. So even the resurrection is for the Jew first and then to the Gentile. So the saints of the Old Testament, these were saints of the Old Testament that actually leapt from their graves at the work of the cross. Their soul leapt at the sound of his voice, because where did he go? He went into Hades to proclaim victory.
Yeah.
And so they leapt up at the sound of his voice. But then, because it wasn't the final resurrection, they withdraw back into their graves. So there we see the symbolism again of the twins that Tamar was pregnant with. She was pregnant from Judah. I won't go over the whole story again. I'm not. But the firstborn put his hand out first at the birth. Zerah, I think. He was marked with a scarlet thread. The midwife put a scarlet thread, which is symbolic of the bloodline of Christ, all the way through Scripture. And then he withdrew his hand. And then his brother Perez actually is born first. And the midwife says, how did you come forth? How did you breach first? May this breach be upon you. And Perez ends up in the lineage of Christ. Everybody stop sneezing. Lord have mercy. I was like, y'all are allergic to something in this room.
He is. Yes.
I know. He told me the whole list. We won't go through it. He either said to me the other day, there's either mold in here or a roach. I'm like, don't even go there. Don't even go there. Anyway.
He said, or even worse, a moldy roach.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so the Zerah begins to emerge. The bloodline begins to emerge and withdraws. And then Perez comes forth first. The church is actually born first.
Yeah.
For the actual resurrection, which Jesus is the firstborn of the true resurrection.
Yes.
But because everything is to the Jew first and then to the Gentile, there was an emergence and then withdrawal. But the saints of the Old Testament leapt forward at the sound of his voice when he entered into Hades and proclaimed victory. I have chills just think about it.
Love it.
So this is still the Shulamite. Which was at this point Jerusalem. I sought him but could not find him. I called him, but he gave me no answer. The 3 days of darkness, he was gone at this point. The watchmen who went out about the city found me. They struck me. They wounded me. The keepers of the walls, they took my veil away from me. hold on to that imagery, the veil away from me. You already know. The tearing of the
But I
veil.
was like, okay.
The tearing
You said,
of the
hold on,
veil.
so I was like,
And you're like, I won't say it.
What are you about to say?
here. Take this.
So at the crucifixion, the veil of the temple tears. So she is exposed. Her shame is exposed, because we've talked many times before how when you are in the presence of God, the first thing you think is your own unholiness and dirtiness in his presence. There's no feeling like that in the world, to be that unveiled in front of a holy God. They took my veil away from me. Now in Acts chapter 8, at that time, a great persecution. The watchman, remember the watchman found her and beat her. At that time, a great persecution arose against the church, which was at Jerusalem. And they were all scattered throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. And devout men carried Stephen to his burial and made a great lament over him. Stephen was the first martyr, in case you don't know. So that was, that I have that underlined, but just because it's the persecution.
Right.
Matthew 27:51. Then behold, the veil of the temple was torn in two from the top to the bottom, and the earth quaked, and the rocks were split, and the graves were opened. And many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep, the saints had fallen asleep, this is the sleeping, were raised, and coming out of the graves after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. Then 2 Corinthians 3 says this of the veil. Unlike Moses, who put a veil on his face so that the children of Israel could not look steadily at the end of what was passing away. For those who don't know, when Moses went on the mountain to meet with God and he received the 10 Commandments, when he came down from the mountain, his countenance was shining so brightly that he had to veil his face. Like the people couldn't look on him. So he veiled his face, but the glow faded. It faded after it slowly faded. So they could not look steadily at the end of what was passing away. The old covenant was passing away, but their minds were blinded. For until this day, the same veil remains unlifted in the reading of the Old Testament, because the veil is taken away in Christ. But even to this day, when Moses is read, the veil lies on their heart. Nevertheless, when one turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. Now, okay, Maddie, as a test pilot, even though you're jumping in midstream, are you following?
Kind of.
Okay. All right. All right. This is just the symbolism that we're just tying in is all.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, if you find my beloved, tell him that I am lovesick. Then the daughters of Jerusalem say, what is your beloved more than any other beloved, O fairest among women? What is your beloved more than any other beloved, that you so charge us? Then the Shulamite says, and this is her describing the bridegroom. My beloved is white and ruddy. That is like a brilliant white, like a clear light of the sun. Ruddy means alive. It's sort of like the rosy cheek. Yeah, flush, rosy cheeks, that kind of thing. Chief among 10,000. His head is like the finest gold. The gold is always symbolic of deity. Divinity, the deity of Christ. His locks are wavy and black as a raven. Now in Revelation, he appears with white hair. So he appears as the ancient, he manifests himself in Revelation as the Ancient of Days. So the Ancient of Days, he has white hair, but here he has power that is unfading. So it's a symbolic of youthful vigor, never fading away, always strong, always. So it's just a different way of describing him, basically. He is the same, right? His eyes are like doves.
Can I just say
Say.
that his eyes are like doves because he's single focused on the bride. At first it was the bride, give me dove's eyes.
Yeah.
So that the bride would be single focused, but his eyes are already single focused.
You know, it's really the reason. If you were to ask me, what's the reason for all this? What's the reason? Why did God create people to begin with? Why did he create the earth and all this? It was for the bride. It was for a bride for his son. That is the reason for all of this. Knowing from the beginning, he knew from the beginning what it would cost. It wasn't something that surprised him. He knew before the creation what it would cost. And he agreed. He wanted to do it, which is insane. His eyes are like doves by the rivers of waters, washed with milk and fitly set. His cheeks are like a bed of spices, banks of scented herbs. Now, his cheeks recently suffered in this, the smiting and the pulling out of his beard. But now, so now they're considered a bed of spices, because all of that contributes, the suffering and the crucifixion, all of that contributes to now being a bed of spices. His lips are lilies, dripping liquid myrrh. There's a verse in Luke 4:22 that says, "It is no wonder that men praised him and marveled at the word of grace that comes out of his mouth." Luke 4:22. The lips of liquid myrrh, the grace that was on his lips. There's more verses that I could refer to, but you get the idea. His hands are rods of gold set with beryl. The word rods could be translated as folding, like almost like a pocket. A folding of gold, like put in a pocket, like securely held. Set with beryl, and beryl is always associated with stability. So the hands are the work that is secure and stable. His hands are set to a work that is set, secure, and stable. His body is carved ivory, and ivory, because it is of bone, is symbolic of life, and actually life and death. Inlaid with sapphires, and sapphires is the heavens. It's symbolic of the heavens, the blue, symbolic of the heavens. His legs are pillars of marble. The marble there could also be translated, the same word in other places is translated as linen or righteousness. But here, obviously, marble because it's pillars. So strength, righteousness, strength, set on bases of fine gold. The divinity, once again. His countenance is like Lebanon, excellent as the cedars. The cedars of Lebanon, we've talked before about trees being man. Trees oftentimes are symbolic of men. And so he is man and God. He is both man and God, but he's a glorified man. He is the cedars of Lebanon. He is higher than the earth, a man, but a glorified man. His mouth is most sweet. Yes, he is altogether lovely. This is my beloved, and this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. Chapter 6. Where has your beloved gone? O fairest among women? Where is your beloved turned aside, that we may seek him with you? So now who's leading the church? And now Jerusalem says, where is he gone, so that we may seek him with you?
Question.
Yes.
The Shulamite that's like written here, is that written in the Bible or is that just...
Yes.
That's in the Bible. Okay.
Well, okay, it wasn't in the original text, but it is usually, you know, the headings of chapters, you see the little headings.
Yeah.
It's just to help you follow along with the text.
Okay.
So it's telling you who's speaking.
Okay.
So that means the Shulamite is speaking in that part.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question, because a lot of people don't know that. So thank you. So the Shulamite says, my beloved has gone to his garden, to the beds of spices, to feed his flock in the gardens. And those words are plural now. Beds and gardens are now plural. And to gather lilies. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. He feeds his flock among the lilies. Now, this section says the praise of the Shulamite's beauty. This is the bride as the church. So if you've been here and you've been following along, the first time, this was the bride as Israel, the first time. Now it is the praise is the bride as the church. The description is very similar. There's a lot of similar languages in this chapter. But the bride, as there's similarities, but here there's no mention of the scarlet thread, the scarlet lips. That's not mentioned this time. The Tower of David is not mentioned of time. And the foreshadowing of the mountain of myrrh is not mentioned this time, because now the cross is behind. The work of the cross is now behind him, okay? But here, this is the beloved speaking, which is the groom. The groom is speaking about the bride. Oh, my love, you are as beautiful as Tirzah. Now, Tirzah was the place of the palace. Now it's speaking of the heavenly Jerusalem. The palace is the heavenly Jerusalem, lovely as Jerusalem, awesome as an army with banners. Turn your eyes away from me, for they have overcome me. Which is so crazy to think about the Lord being so enraptured with the bride, which is us, that he is overwhelmed, that he has to almost turn away.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
I was commenting on the hair is like a flock of goats. That's wild.
You'll have to go back and like catch up with the first chapters.
Okay.
It'll be good. Your hair is like a flock of goats going down from Gilead. So the hair is still a symbol of consecration. That's a typo. Sorry, I don't know what happened with that. I saw it. I don't know. Conceptitrons or something. Consecration. The word is supposed to be consecration. It's a typo.
What is conceptions?
Consecration and authority. Your teeth are like a flock of sheep which have come up from the washing. Now, once again, this is the same. The second time, the same thing. Priest did not wear wool, as it was a symbol of fleshly life. Sheep that are shorn of their wool, they're shorn of their fleshly life, and washed, meaning they've been cleansed of sin, and baptized. Does that make sense? Everybody together?
Yeah.
Everyone bears twins. Now we see twins again.
Yeah.
And none is barren among them. Twins, Israel, the twins means Israel, the faithful remnant of Israel. And now the church, the Gentile church, being grafted in to one bride. Each one bearing fruit. Okay, verse 7. Each one bearing fruit. Like a piece of pomegranate are your temples behind your veil. There are 60 queens and 80 concubines and virgins without number, But my dove, my perfect one, is the only one of her mother, the favorite of the one who bore her. The daughters saw her. Who are the daughters? The daughters of Jerusalem. The daughters saw her and called her blessed, the queens and concubines, and they praised her. So think about this. This is the comment. The queens and concubines are from the daughters of Jerusalem. They are now marveling at the church. And they see her and call her blessed, the only one of her mother. The mother of this group would be the pagan Gentile nations. That's why she's the only one of her mother. The church was born as a unique group of saints from this surprising origin. Okay, hold on. I gotta breathe. Comment, Madison?
Dang. If I have something to say, I'm gonna say.
I thought you might. You usually do. Okay, that's all right. That's all right.
I'm like, man.
I just needed to take a breath.
Get that
Okay.
on the microphone.
She's speechless.
I'm speechless. Yeah.
Verse, where are we? 10. Who is she that looks forth as the morning, fair as the moon, clear as the sun? Clear as the sun means no shadow. The New Jerusalem, remember, the
yeah.
New Jerusalem has no shadow.
Right.
The New Jerusalem is described in Revelation and as having no shadow.
Because there will be no sun.
No sun.
The light will be coming from Jesus is the light.
Jesus is the light. You got to put the mic up close to your mouth.
Sorry.
There you go. Okay.
There will be no sun
There you go.
because the light comes from Jesus
Thank you.
in the New Jerusalem. Yes.
Still not making sense that there's no
In
sense.
Revelation.
Because if there's a building, it would still cast a shadow.
Right.
But the light
But-
emanates everywhere.
Light emanates from everywhere, so there's
Well,
still
'cause
there's no shadow.
there's no darkness at all. in
No
him.
darkness at all.
Alright.
Which is sad because I don't like the light.
You will be transformed
I'm
and
sure
you'll like
he'll
it
give
then.
you a shade tree.
Awesome as an army with banners. So the Shulamite says, I went down to the garden of nuts to see the verdure of the valley. Verdure is the green lush of the valley. To see whether the vine had budded and the pomegranates had bloomed. Before I was even aware, now sit with this for a moment and think about it. This is now the bride of the church. Before I was even aware, my soul had made me as the chariots of my noble people. Don't turn yet. Oh, I'm sorry. You're trying to do.
I also have something I want to say about the light.
Say about the light first. Okay.
So, have you seen like the lights that surgeons use to operate? They don't cast shadow. Like you can put your arm, anything in front of that light, and it will not cast a shadow the way that they've designed it. So that while they're operating, well, it's engineered so
we need
it's
some
possible.
of those set up here.
They also make like
Yes.
this artist lights now too, so that when artists are drawing, it doesn't cast a shadow. and
Yeah.
It's like this arc.
It
It's
goes
like a
around.
yeah.
It bends,
Seen
light
big
bends.
lights over the operating table before, have you?
Yeah, I work it next to one.
Yeah, so it doesn't.
Shadows all the time, so I'm confused.
No, I've seen videos of doctors putting the surgical lights over and demonstrating how it does not cast shadow. Yeah, y'all got a cheap light.
That's what you get when you work with animals.
Oh.
All right. Now, when it says, before I was even aware, my soul had made me as the chariots. Now, what are chariots? Of my noble people. Chariots, the vehicles of travel of my noble people. Now, that word, my noble people, you'll see here, there is a footnote. My noble people actually translate as Mahanaim, and we're going to talk about Mahanaim in a second, which means two camps. That word is the chariots of two camps. One on earth and one in heaven. That's what that
Wow.
means. Two camps, one on earth and one in heaven.
Wow.
And That word originates from Genesis. Genesis 32 verse 1, when Jacob was on his way to meet up with Esau. Jacob was on his way to meet up with Esau, his brother Esau.
Yeah.
Okay. He, at that place, this is 32 verse 1. So Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's camp." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Jacob named that place Mahanaim, the place of two camps, because he was camped there. Jacob had his camps of his people, his wives and all, they were all camped there. And then there were the camps of the heavenlies. And he said, this is the place of two camps. That's why he named it Mahanaim. The scene of the two camps, this is the comment, comes just before the event of Jacob's night wrestling with the angel of God. So right before that wrestling match, he has this vision of the two camps. So here's the vision of the two camps.
And Jacob and Esau were twins, right?
Jacob and Esau were twins.
Okay.
So there's one camp on earth and one camp in heaven. So he calls it Mahanaim. Now, I will just say, I didn't put it in the notes, but I will just say that after this, Jacob wrestles with the angel of the Lord, which we reckon and assume that it was, the angel of the Lord was basically Jesus, because there are times in the Old Testament when the angel of the Lord is actually a pre-incarnate manifestation of Christ. There's a word for it. It's been a long weekend. But anyway, pre-incarnate manifestation of Christ. He wrestles all night with the angel of the Lord. And finally, when he kind of, the wrestling match only ends when the angel of the Lord finally just touches. So they're wrestling like with their own strength. Then the angel of the Lord uses like a divine touch, touches his hip socket, and puts his hip out of socket, just the touch. Like, I'm tired. This wrestling match is on pause. Clink. Touches his hip, puts his hip out of socket. But Jacob refuses to let go of him until he blesses him. Like, I'm not letting go of you until you bless me.
That trickster.
Well,
That man
think,
was
Not a
shiesty.
trickster.
just
He's so
think,
shiesty.
just think of it
Towards the
in,
Lord.
yeah, think of it in these terms.
No.
And so that is when the Lord names him Israel, renames him Israel at that wrestling match. But if you think of Israel, we'll talk about that in a minute. Thank you for bringing it up. The 7-year tribulation period is called the hour of Jacob's trouble. That's from the book of Daniel. That would be a whole other lesson that I don't have time to go into tonight. But the 7-year tribulation period is the hour of Jacob's trouble. Jacob is Israel. The whole reason for the 7-year tribulation is to reconcile Israel with God. Whole reason for it is to finish the wrestling match.
Mm-hmm.
So that Jacob finally submits. And recognizes him as their Messiah. And reconciles to God. Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
I know it's a lot, but the study of the word is a lot. You have to like pull it all in, a whole bunch of puzzle pieces together.
Getting all the sevens.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be also the hardest part because it's...
Mike.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Again.
Because you're relating Song of Solomon from the beginning to the end. Now we're in the New Testament half after the resurrection. So now these things are becoming more...
spiritual.
Symbolic. And we're thinking about prophecy and things yet to come,
yes.
and linking those things. So it's a little bit harder to grasp if you don't have a full grasp on
prophecy.
the stuff before that. So that's why
Yes.
this part is going to be a little bit harder to grasp.
Yes.
But that's
Yes.
how I think of it, because Revelations is a hard thing to grasp.
But it's really beautiful. So
It is.
in Jeremiah 30, verse 7, it says, "Alas, for the day is great." This is speaking of the day, the great day of the Lord, which is the tribulation period in Revelation. "Alas, for the day is great, so that none is like it. And it is the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." He shall be saved out of it. It's the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. I'll go back. Don't let me forget. I'll go back and talk about that in a minute. Okay. But now we're talking specifically about the saints of the Old Testament, the saints of Israel.
Okay.
Just not going to go into all the politics
Don't
or a
get
whole
too
different thing.
far off.
Politics are a whole different thing. Just follow the scripture right now. The beloved to his friends says, "Return, return, O Shulamite, return, that we may look upon you." Where'd she go?
She was raptured.
She was raptured. So back here it says, where'd we go? I'm like, dadgummit.
Is this
When
asleep but my heart is awake?
Makes so much sense.
I'm glad it makes so much sense to you. Okay, when it says,
Because honestly, it's a lot of nonsense when you read it
Because
without
Jesus
this. You're like,
disappeared.
what?
Because
Like,
Jesus-
why is the beloved
Jesus
gone?
disappeared, and
You know,
then
right.
now he's
Why
Right.
was the wife
Right.
beaten? You know, and all that
by
stuff. Like,
Jerusalem because they be beaten.
yes, it makes so much like. But when you're reading
Yes.
it alone, it's like this does not make.
it doesn't make
sense.
any
But I was like,
sense.
this is whack.
This is what.
But it wasn't.
Just wait, just wait.
So cool.
So when it says in verse 12 that I already read, "Before I was even aware, my soul had made me as the chariots of Mahanaim." So before the church is even aware, she is in the chariots of Mahanaim, the chariots of the sky, the two camps. So before she even knows it, there's a rapture. And now the beloved is saying, "Return," or the friends are saying, "Return, return, O Shulamite, return, that we may look upon you." So Israel will say, once the church is gone, they'll say, "Oh no, return so that we can have," because the church was basically leading at one point, and now the church is gone. Now, the Shulamite. What would you see in the Shulamite? As it were, the dance of the two camps. Now, the dance of the two camps is the dance of Mahanaim. And forever and ever and ever and ever, I have always heard this taught this way, and I want to reteach it in a different way today. I have always heard it said, and this is true, there's some truth to this, that the dance of Mahanaim was this very seductive, lurid dance that the bride is dancing naked for her husband.
No way, dude.
I've always heard it. I have
Crass
always.
indeed.
Well, wait a minute. It's not wrong, but I've always heard it's shallow. It's shallow. I've always heard it be like, see, it's okay to dance naked for your husband. I have always
Okay,
heard
Mark Driscoll.
everybody say that.
All right, these pastors.
The
need
rise
to
and
calm
fall.
down.
Whack.
They just don't. But it just lacks depth. It lacks depth.
There's no point in that being in. That's.
But
Dude, get
at
out.
the same time, think. Okay, this is why I put this in here. This is a picture of the dance of Mahanaim. The dance, but it's the dance of the two camps. And when he's describing the bride, he's describing her breast as twins, because they're twin camps. So it's the bride
Of
as
one body.
of one body. The Gentile church is grafted in.
Yes.
And they become one. Eventually, they become one. And so there is a beautiful dance that the bride. There is a dance that happens, but there's a dance, but it's the heavenly dance. So think about this for a moment.
What?
What?
Sorry. I think there's a disaster happening back there. I'm sorry.
In the mic.
I didn't mean to say that in the mic,
Disaster
I'm sorry.
in the kids' room. Oh.
What?
It's okay. It's okay. We'll deal with it later. We'll deal with
It's
it later.
all right. I'm used to
We'll
it.
put a budget in there for
So
Okay, let's move on.
so Revelation chapter 5. Chapter 5. Verse 9, and they sang a new song saying, "You are worthy to take the scroll, to open its seals, for you were slain. You have redeemed us." This is the church in heaven saying, "You have redeemed us to God by your blood out of every tribe and tongue and people and nation. You have made us kings and priests to our God, and we shall reign on earth." That is the church that appears in heaven, raptured out. And to me, I can see no other way.
Why can't the dance be like the wedding dance, like the first dance at the Why is it translated like that? Like,
apparently there really was a dance called the Dance of Mahanaim. That's what I've heard. I don't know. I wasn't there.
I mean,
but
Well, the dance of the two camps. I mean,
but if you
it's just praise.
right? Like, where are they getting this
Don't people
graphic
Dance
description
and
from?
praise?
but
Like, this is like, what do you even see in her? This is like, and this is her talking about her own
I
self.
mean, it could also be like
Yes.
culturally, you're talking about some of like the nations that like originated variations of like belly dancing and stuff. So it
Yeah.
would be considered to our terms more sensual. So if we take it in a
Mike.
more cultural context.
Start over.
start over, Taylor.
Yeah, start over with the mic.
You got to do it. You can't talk without the mic. Go.
I was just telling her.
Whatever.
That's hard for me to
Another kid, we
relate.
can mic up the whole room.
All right.
We're
wait,
gonna have to mic up
yes.
everybody at this point.
Wait, just say it one more time.
Just say it again.
From like a cultural context, if we're thinking about dancing not as like what we view dancing, you got to remember like these are some of like the original people like who their different cultures and origins created like belly dancing and all of this stuff, which to us seems overly sensual, but to them it's more normalized and just part of like their culture. So if we take it in a more historic context, I don't think it's necessarily meant to be essential. I think over time we've added this layer to it.
Okay. Agreed. I can.
Good job. Thank you for saying that on the mic. But if you think of, the church, every tongue, tribe, and nation that appears in Revelation, which is why I cannot, when we talk about where the rapture happens, and everybody has this debate, and I'm not going to die on this hill, and I'm not going to argue with people because it really doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's not a point of salvation, right? But I've studied it for many, many years because I'm interested in all prophecy, and I always land at what you would say is like a pre-trib rapture, or at least a very early on in the tribulation period rapture, because the every tongue, tribe, and nation appears in Revelation
Yeah.
at this point.
Yes. Exactly.
Because they've been taken out. These are the ones that have been
It's not
taken
like-
out of the tribulation. They appear before the throne room. And I know some people will say, oh, these are the ones that were beheaded. You could argue that, but I just
But
don't
what
think
about,
that's what it was.
Because some people have debated, like, well, if the church is raptured, then how will the unbelievers know? And I'm like, well, what about the 5 foolish virgins that knew but didn't have
Exactly.
oil in their lamp? So there's people that know but did not give their lives. So, like,
Yes. Please say
when
that
they-
in the mic louder.
I did.
Okay.
I think I caught it. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that are gonna know, but that did not actually
Get
give their lives to
raptured, yeah.
Christ, and at that point,
Yeah.
will see and remember, like, oh man,
Yeah, I do believe. Now, there are tribulation saints, and I do believe that there will be people who think they're Christian.
and our Bibles will be here.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but
Yes.
like there will be a
And
way.
not only that, but then there's the 144,000 that appear in Revelation. The
Right.
144,000 are Jews. And you just can't make that anything else. I mean, there are a lot of things Revelation does have a lot of symbolism, but it's not that mysterious which part is symbolism and which part is literal. The
Yeah.
144,000, the angels actually they actually say these are 12,000 from each of the tribes of of Israel. I won't go. There's some interesting things, but I won't divert too much about the 144,000. But
Now we're getting
I don't
to
want to
another
get.
book.
Yeah. But let me just say, when we're talking about the saints, when we're talking about the saints that come from the Jewish lineage, from the bloodline of Abraham, okay, we are not talking about politics. The political lines are different. The political governments are different. And the Ashkenazi Jewish line is different, which the Ashkenazi Jews are Jews that converted in history. They converted to Judaism.
But they're not.
But they're
blood
not
to the
bloodline Jews.
original 12.
But those are the ones that are now in, I'm trying to avoid some triggers on Facebook, but those are the ones that are now in charge over there. So it is a very complicated quagmire when you start talking about politics. And I'm not even going to try to go there right now on Facebook because we will get censored.
Yeah, no.
Okay?
I wouldn't.
So, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't. But what matters is the fact that there are saints that come from the bloodline, and there's a remnant that will be redeemed, and they are being redeemed and will be redeemed out of the tribulation period. So, does everyone follow that?
Yeah.
The politics, that is a whole other, we can't even have that discussion online. It's so crazy. But the politics are a whole other thing. We just can't even go there now. Just don't even worry about it. I mean, you know what I mean. As far as your personal relationship with Christ,
That's
that
a little irrelevant.
it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
But just, whatever. Yeah.
But it's a beautiful dance of two camps, because at this point the church is in heaven. So remember this imagery for when we go on. We have one more week to finish out this book. So think about this imagery of the church in heaven praising God in the throne room, and the remnant that is now on earth. So it's the church. So now that there's the two camps, one on earth and the heavenly Jerusalem. Keep that imagery in mind for the next two chapters.
I'm so excited. Nice.
Yeah? Is that good?
Yeah.
I'm glad it makes sense to y'all now.
Yeah. I have never heard of different. I just hear these washed over like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just a book about love and yada yada yada.
And-
explain this book in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And like, okay, well.
And marriage and the marriage bed and the
and I'm
marriage
like, this
relations.
is just not
and
making any sense to me. I'm like,
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'll take that, but I don't at the same time.
yeah.
But
You're like,
never-
there's more. That's
Yeah.
why when I told you guys when I put this off, that's why I was like, I kept reading commentaries. I read a whole book. I was reading all this stuff. I'm like, it's
to
not.
a bunch of things too, and I'm like,
That's
no,
not
this
it. That's
doesn't
not
make
it. That's
sense.
not it. I kept thinking. I mean, there's some good points. Don't get me wrong. It's like, but that's not what the Lord was
Right.
wanting to say at this
Right.
time in history. And it may be that it's just for now. I don't know, but for whatever reason, it's for now. And I think that he had to say it to a woman, because a man's eyes usually glaze over when it starts talking about naked dancing and twin breast and all that kind of stuff. Okay, are we good?
Yeah.
Till next week. Love, love, love.